Babe,
Babe?
I have a question for you.
Okay. What is your question?
Have I ever done anything to give you the ick?
I don't think so.
Do you know what the ick is?
Well, in my mind, the ick is like something that someone does, or maybe the way they are, where it just, you maybe can't really put your finger on it. It's just, I don't know if gross is the right word or something, but something that just makes you not be attracted to that person, maybe? Is it attraction? Is that what it really is?
I don't know. Let's talk about it.
If you've tuned in to see if you can argue with your spouse and still be madly in love, you're in the right spot.
I'm Kent.
And I'm Annie.
And we're the Kilkos. Sound like a game show.
We're your host of Life's Little Arguments. We're not trained experts in love and marriage. Actually, we might be quite dysfunctional, but we have been happily married for 16 years.
Debatable.
Not only will we share all the ups and downs of marriage, but the ins and outs of raising his and her kids, growing through new jobs and opportunities, and our latest obsession, our empty nest babies, our dogs, Blakely and Lincoln.
So if you hear tink, tink, tink across the microphone, they're probably walking across the floor.
Listen in each week while we discuss our life, current events, random TikToks, and the little arguments that undoubtedly come up. Whether you're in a long-term relationship yourself or in a fresh new relationship, we hope you find our podcast fun, entertaining, and helps you realize there is a normal in life's little arguments.
Hey, babe.
Hey, love.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. We are recording another podcast episode.
We are. This is...
Oh, we've lost
16,
count.
I think. 15 or 16. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it's 15. I can't really remember. So back to the question of the ick.
Okay.
So I think probably what you're describing is pretty much accurate.
I feel like when I've seen it on shows or something, that's kind of what
it's kind of a buzzy
like,
word.
what was that show we watched? No One Wants This or something like that?
Nobody Wants This, which,
yeah, it's
PSA,
good. It's
if
really
you've
good,
not watched that, it's really, really cute little rom-com. Kristen Bell is so good in this, and I guess is it Adam or
I don't
Brody?
know, but she looks the exact same she did 20 years ago.
She looks fantastic.
She looks better, actually.
And it's the chick from, what was she in? Oh, she was in, with the dad,
Doesn't matter. That's what she was in.
Okay, anyway, the other chick is in.
Go check it out. It's good.
It's really,
series,
it's so cute. It's really, really
cute. But
cute.
anyways, one of the things that he does is he dresses in, like, I guess, dad clothes. I think and they were like, oh my God, it's such an ick. Like, I don't know that I can get past it. So I guess that's when I think about an ick, it's like things you just can't get past.
But she didn't even, and she didn't even say it. Like, it was the look on her face. Her sister knew immediately that she got the ick from what he was like wearing or whatever it was that he said. And I thought that was so funny because then on another podcast, they were talking about that show. And so they were talking about, can you come back from the ick? Because I think what they were also talking about on the show was, can you come back from it? Is there a way back from the ick? If you've gotten the ick, can you move past it? Or is the relationship doomed at that point?
So my question to you is, A, who all does the ick apply to? Is it just who you're in a relationship with, or can other people give you the ick? And then to me, is the ick something specific, or is the ick that person? Does that make sense what I'm asking you?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think sometimes the ick is the person.
Yeah.
And I think it can be anybody. I don't think it has to be your significant other, even though I think typically it's a significant other or possible significant other, like maybe from the dating world. Yeah. It's somebody that you're dating and they do something to give you the ick. And I think it's typically something that they do, like maybe something they say or something they do, or maybe it's like their clothes they're wearing or... Yeah.
I feel like this far into our relationship, it would be hard for you to give me the ick because I'm like, well, first of all, I think I would have noticed it by now.
Yeah.
Second of all, if I did notice it, I would have already said something.
Okay.
And third of all, if I said something, you probably would have already corrected it, for example.
Yes.
I don't know.
Well,
and then we're pretty much in it at this point, too.
I've not. No, there was definitely something that I did something that gave myself the ick, and I did not correct it.
Oh wow, what was that?
I got another freaking wig for Halloween, and after
now that we're talking about that,
honestly, like in person, I felt okay. This is fine, but when I looked at pictures that were taken, I gave myself the ick.
I tend to agree, I'll be honest with you.
I don't know what it is.
You do know what it is.
I mean.
But
Well, it's the wig. There's something about the combination of the wig and like the eye makeup and like it's just not a good look, which is so weird because when I had my extensions, I didn't feel like that. Like this is
completely different.
Why though? Why? This was a blonde wig, which I get the wig was the color blonde was horrible. First of all, it's not a good look on me, but was it because of the blonde color of the wig?
I don't think so.
Was it because it had bangs? Like,
because you've had a black and white wig before, and it was the same feeling.
That one was worse, I feel like.
Yeah, it was much. The makeup was much worse on that one. Who was it? The girl from Dalmatians?
So is it the wig or was it the makeup? Is it the eye makeup? Can I just
both.
not do? It's both together.
It's both.
It's really makes me really sad.
Now that you say the ick, that I might have the ick from that. I mean, just being honest with you, like. But I don't mean the ick as in like I can't get past this.
I just gave both of us the ick then.
Or whatever. But yeah, now that I think about it, I might have had the ick.
Well, so I've decided I will never. I am never ever. This is my vow to everyone involved. I am never ever going to have another wig for Halloween.
At least until next Halloween.
No, never. Good. I will never ever do a wig again. I will have to just do something that I can work with my own hair, or it's a hat situation, or it's like slick backed, but I will never ever do a wig again.
I'm glad we can agree. You heard it here, folks. Good. So when she tries it next year, I'm going to be like, no, let's go listen to episode 15/16.
I can no longer be any type of movie character.
You can do it. You just let's get you some extensions and let's rock those.
It's just not.
I miss your extensions, by the way.
I mean,
but your hair looks great today,
the wig, I did enjoy like having the wig and like the length of it. That was nice again, but also
speaking of, I'm growing my beard back.
I'm so thankful.
I shaved my beard for my
costume. If anything were going to give me the ick, it could possibly be you not having a beard.
It's not that bad. I was Austin Powers. In case you hadn't seen the pictures yet, I was Austin Powers.
I was Fembot.
So I shaved my beard.
No, they have not seen any pictures because I've refused to post any.
Yeah, okay. Good idea. But anyhow, we had a great time. The party was a lot of fun. The costumes were great. But yeah, we're going to do away with wig from here on out. Which,
no wig.
To your defense, I don't look great in a wig either. But you know what? When people say the word ick, the one thing that immediately comes to mind for me is we were at a pool party this past summer, and I'm not a hairy guy. Like, I don't have hair all over my chest and all that stuff, but I have it, like, around my nipples. I always feel weird saying nipples. I don't know why. But anyways, so for whatever reason,
it's like a taboo word.
It's just a habit. I guess it's a habit that I'll just sit here and like
you do that. I can see where that would give somebody the ick.
And one of our friends was across the pool, and she was like, "Bro, you are giving me the ick." And I was like, "What?" Like I didn't even realize. Like I was doing it, she was like, "Stop pulling your nipple hair." And I'm like, "Oh,
it's disgusting." So I don't like it. I like for you to shave that off. Because
so the word "ick" can get hit me, and I came home that day and shaved my nipples, and they've been shaved ever since. Yeah. But
Thank you.
That's what I think about when I hear the word "ick."
Yeah,
so
that's a definite,
or it's been helpful, one or the other.
That's a definite ick. So. I just thought that's kind of a buzzy thing that's going on right now. So I wanted to bring that up. Anything else? We had the Halloween party. We also have gotten into I swear to God, if you don't
I'm trying to get the other ick. This is work related.
It doesn't matter. We've moved past the ick.
No,
we don't know.
I will go back to okay.
No.
Okay. So can we talk about Lieutenant Dan?
I mean, you can talk about it. What were they calling him? Lieutenant Dan. Do you know what Lieutenant Dan's from?
Yeah, Forrest Gump.
Okay, just making sure. Well,
yeah.
The way you said it did not sound like it was.
I just can't believe. So this is just a perfect example of you really don't know what to believe, right? Like what's true, what's not true, whatever. But then on top of that, like the whole bandwagon effect that we just live in, like social media has created such a bandwagon effect that you don't even know this dude from Adam. And apparently the truth has finally come out that this guy's a criminal arrested multiple times over for multiple things, and people are just giving.
Can we say allegedly? Because I have no idea if anything that. Okay. I did not get on the Lieutenant Dan TikTok.
Yeah, well, I'll say allegedly.
So I don't.
I'll
have
say
any
allegedly,
idea.
Although I have allegedly seen at least 15 of his mugshots. But that's Lieutenant Dan or anyone else for that matter. It drives me insane the bandwagon effect that social media creates. Oh, so and so's doing it. Oh, we must be doing it. We must be, and then I don't know. It's I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. So anyhow, I think that they've raised, I don't know, shit like $400,000 or something. And apparently, this is from Lauren, is telling me Lieutenant Dan is mad.
I was wondering where this came from because I knew there was no way that you'd been on TikTok and found this out.
The person who started the GoFundMe or whatever,
they stole the money.
Is not giving him the money.
Shocker.
Well, and honestly, he shouldn't. The guy's a fraud, but you're a damn fraud for thinking that raising money for this person that you don't even know is the right thing to do either. So anyhow, I think everybody got involved in it because you're like, hey, you're riding this hurricane out in your boat. Because the next morning everybody was like, does anyone know what happened to Lieutenant Dan?
I did see that on Facebook. Everybody was like, is anybody checking on Lieutenant Dan? Yeah, I only heard it from friends because I didn't get on that particular.
Lauren and I were talking about that today. So Lauren, by the way, voted for the first time ever.
I know, today. That's exciting.
Yeah, so she's 20.
Was she nervous?
I don't think she was nervous. I was trying to give her a heads up, and of course they had an example ballot already printed out, and I was like, this is kind of how you're going to want to read this. And of course you get to the 3 questions at the end that are like, should we amend the Constitution to blah, 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 and I'm just like, just do the best you can. I was like, it's not going to matter anyway. Just do the best you can because I really don't even know what that shit said. They write it like in lawyer terms. And it's like, man, come on. Just dumb this down a little bit for us regular guys.
Unless you really have been like studying and you know what's going on. Yeah, you don't really
know what those are. But this was her first vote and it was the big one, right? It wasn't a midterm, even though I'm trying to think about how her birthday would have fallen if she could have voted midterm last year. But anyhow, she understands the importance of it, so I'm proud of her for doing that.
She called her papa first thing, I think, after, and let him know that she voted.
And then our thing is like going to lunch together. It kind of always has been. And there's 1 or 2 places, either Mike's Dogs, which I've been going to for 35 years, closed down, or Sonny's, which she works at now, and she's like, let's go to Sonny's.
I know. She called me. She's like, do you want to go to lunch with us? I'm like, where? Yeah. She's like, Sonny's. I'm like, fuck, no.
She was like,
no, I do not want to eat there.
She played me. She was like, Dad, it's our tradition.
Absolutely
I said,
played
tradition?
You. She plays you every time she wants to go
eat with you. Well, we got to start. We got to start a tradition.
Because you haven't realized that for the last 21 years.
So we went to lunch, and so in 4 years, or if we go midterm in 2 years, we will be doing this again. So maybe Annie will decide to.
Not if it's Sonny's.
To go in. I'm telling you, that brisket grilled cheese, you would like it. It was
money. It's not. I just don't. That's not something. I have never ever craved Mexican. I'm never gonna. I'm probably never going to crave Sonny's barbecue. Like it's just 2 things I'm never gonna crave.
Whatever.
So I was like, no. I would. Plus, it was like
Mexican would be so good right now too.
No. So no, but.
So you don't have anything about me that's the ick for you?
I mean, I think you've given icky vibes occasionally through the years, but I think mostly when it happens, I probably try to steer you in a direction of maybe let's not do that again, rather than using the word ick, because I do feel like, that could be hurtful.
The one thing, and I hope I'm not setting myself up here because I don't want you to start paying attention to it even more.
I would not bring it. I wouldn't say it.
No, I think the one thing that I do.
I think it's going to be a regret.
And my dad does this, and it drives me crazy.
Definitely drives me crazy. If you got it from Johnny K, sure.
No, when he does it. But there's a certain belch.
Yes, I hate it. It's like hate it.
There's a certain time that air gets caught in your chest. It's not like a normal belch. It's like a hiccup / belch, but it hurts your chest, and the only way you can get it to come out is to make this apple face and like this noise, and it's much different, but. My dad does it, and I'm like, I do it exactly like he does it because it's painful. It literally is painful. But you have said something about it a couple times here recently.
Because I hate it.
So maybe that does
give me an ick. Yeah. Yes, that gives me an ick.
You can get back
that. Actually, that's not an ick. That's just more like that takes me to an irrational place of I hate you.
How quickly? I mean, first of all,
that's not really an ick.
We're using 2 very, very strong words: irrational and hate.
That's the visceral response I get from that
belch that I can't help because it just gets stuck in my chest somehow.
And I can't help the way I feel.
This is who I live with. Irrational and hate.
The way I feel.
2 very strong words over fucking belch.
But it's not like I hate forever. It was just I hate that thing that happens. I can't stand it. So, but that's not really an ick. That's just more I hate that.
I'm still ick free then. Thank you.
Yeah, for the most part. We'll move on from that conversation.
Thank you.
I feel like that could go very badly. So Lauren told me that based on you guys went to lunch today, and she was telling me that part of your conversation was that either she brought it up or you asked, I don't remember which, about what type of car is considered a me car. Like she considers to be a me car. And I was like, well, what is a me car? What does that mean? And she said it was a car that I can like picture myself in. Like it's the car that I see myself driving. And so she told me what did she say?
She said a 4Runner or a RAV4.
I thought RAV4 was very odd to me.
Yeah.
That she said RAV4, but I was like, okay. And so she was telling me what she thought my me car was, and I was like,
well, she didn't tell me that.
Well, I asked her, I said, did you ask your dad what his me car was? And she's like, no. I said, why not? I don't know. I said, this is conversation, Lauren. This is how you make conversation. This would be a great question to turn around and ask your dad to get to know him better.
Lauren is a one-way conversationalist.
It is a one-way conversationalist. So, anyway, I was going to ask, I thought I'd ask you since she didn't. What is your me car?
I would say at this point it's either a Jeep or a pickup truck.
Yeah.
Like I can't envision me like.
She said she couldn't. She actually what she said is that she couldn't envision you in a truck. She didn't think you were a truck guy, and I was like, okay, that's weird. But she's like, I can't see him in a car either. So I feel like he probably, the Jeep that he has, or probably like the truck that Sean had. And what she meant was the
Honda?
No, that's what I thought at first too. What she meant was the Jeep truck,
Gladiator.
The Gladiator.
Yeah,
and I was like,
so it's
God, no.
So what would you say your me car is? I mean, you've had so many over the years. It's like, have any of them really? It's
like kind of like when you after dinner you're like, that just really didn't hit the spot.
Yeah, none of
all
the 8
of my
cars.
None of the 8 cars have hit the spot. So I think
when I get you that Land Rover.
Yeah, I think a Land Rover is more.
I can see that
my
being,
vibe.
Yeah.
I was really stuck on that. The Infinity
Q, the big one, the big
QX80 or something like that. But I've never seen inside of it, so I don't really know.
No, that's not true because
I've never really seen inside a Range Rover.
Josh and Catherine, they have one. Black
yeah,
one.
but I don't really remember what it was like being in it. That was a
we
long time ago.
We were packed in there too.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. So.
Anyways, I like the Land Rover idea better, but those are nice cars.
I do too. I mean, I like the back of those. Those seem like I only tend to see the back of them. I feel like. So.
I was worried when you said Lauren was going to tell me something because I ain't ever met anybody that's as much of a snitch as Lauren.
Well, wait, hold up now.
No,
what conversation did I miss out on?
We didn't have any bad conversation, but she will snitch on anything, like anything.
Yeah, she.
I'm talking. It doesn't matter how benign it is.
She's gonna tell.
She is gonna tell.
She's gonna tell. Don't tell her any secrets. If you want it to be a secret, do not tell.
Listen, it reminds me of there was one time where I can't remember if it was when I was with New York Life or Team Leader at Keller Williams, but anyhow, I was meeting with a realtor.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, she's pretty. I mean, attractive woman, whatever. We met at Decadent, and it's the first time we'd ever met. We were having coffee or whatever. So, one of Jackson's friends, I guess, messages Jackson, and then Jackson turns around and calls Annie and was like, "Hey, did you know that?"
No, it was like, "Is Kent with you?"
Oh.
No, he's not with me. Why? Well, do you know where he is? I'm like, yeah, I do know where he is.
He said Decadent,
He's like, okay, well, Jacob saw Kent with this woman at Decadent, and they just, we wanted to make sure you knew.
What the? I'm like, God.
No, that's
snitches find ditches.
No, they don't. They do not. When you were looking out for your mama,
that's true. It was actually a good laugh, but I was just so taken by. I was like, you got. But anyways, Lauren,
I got eyes
Lauren takes snitching to like a whole nother level about anything. It drives me insane, but.
She does like to tell.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell about this massive dog bed that
oh my God.
That you
it's gonna be good
decided we needed?
Well, so we've been talking about it.
Yeah,
been talking about it for a little while, and one person's human design is to look at it and think about it. And thinking about it some more, look at some more, and think about those, and then look at it some more and think about it. And
I have to move through the emotions.
And move on before one even places an order. That's one person's human design. And then the other person's human design is, I'm going to take a quick scan. I'm going to see exactly what I'm looking for. It's probably going to take 30 minutes, and I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to order it before I can even change my mind. It's already on the way in the mail, right? So we got it in. It's a quality bed.
It's massive.
Great size.
It is
quality.
massive.
It's wood.
Think
baby
camper.
Crib. Yeah.
Yes, think baby crib.
No, that's
toddler bed.
That's the bed.
That's the bed that Terry had to sleep on at least.
But so it's elevated, so it sits basically level with our mattress. First day was terrible. Second day was a little bit better. Third day is a little bit better. So we're getting them where they'll lay there while we're watching TV, and which is good. But then basically as soon as the lights go out and I can't see them, then they're like ninjas. They just disappear into the night. And of course Annie doesn't want to leave any kind of nightlight on.
Why would we leave a nightlight on?
But I will say on day 2 or 3, I can't remember when it was. So I could feel them getting into bed, but I was so tired at that point. I was like, I just can't do it. Well, then in the middle of the night, I reached for like Blakely, who sleeps in between us. She wasn't there, and I could look over and I could see like a silhouette of her laying in the bed. So she seems to like it a lot more than
she will lay there more willingly and fall asleep. As a matter of fact, during the day,
tell them about the cry. Tell them what.
Well, during the day, you've looked over. You're like, "Where's Blakely?" And you look in the bedroom, and she's laying in that bed. So that's a good sign for her. Lincoln, no such luck. And matter of fact, he will
look right past me.
He sits up in that bed, and he does his cry. And he looks straight through Kent.
I swear he has tears.
Directly into my soul, crying like, Mama, please, why do I have to do this? I swear his eyes get watery. Like, I can't look at him. I laugh. I can't look at him. I'm like, I can't look at him.
If PETA or whoever, who is this Sarah McLachlan? Who does she do this on for? If they ever need a video for...
He is the one.
To get some donations with Sarah McLachlan playing in the background, Lincoln will be the one.
It's pitiful.
Even though he looks well taken care of.
It's pitiful. So he at least has stayed over there.
So we're getting there. Golly, it's such
I don't know that he'll ever get there, but
we're going to get them there. But there's a little bit better, and I think as long as they continue to progress, the challenge is...
The challenge is the bed. It's a big, freaking ginormous eyesore.
To me, it's less about that and more just when the lights go out and I'm tired, like I can't... You know me. I'm not the type of person who can just keep going. Like, when I'm done, I'm done.
When you're done, you're done.
And so if they get in the bed, damn it, it is what it is. But we'll do the best we can with it.
I'll take a picture and post it because it's absolutely
it actually
quite
looks
insane.
Good. It's a nice bed. We'll post the link, so if you want to order it, I can make like 2 cents off of it.
I keep saying I'm going to make my Amazon shop, and I just am dragging my feet. I don't know why. But anyway, so I was running around getting ready to do the podcast, and I had this question hit me, and I was like, oh, that's probably a pretty good question. So I was going to ask you, if there were one recipe, one food from a restaurant that you could get the recipe to, and it would be absolutely exact, like literally the chef came in and got you and took you to the back and showed you how to make it, and you wrote it down so you could make it at home, what would it be?
2 things, same restaurant.
Okay.
No, 2 things, 2 different restaurants.
Okay.
The chicken parmesan and fettuccine alfredo from Carrabba's, or the cheesecake from Maggiano's.
Ooh.
I love Cheesecake Factory because of the variety of cheesecake, but the best cheesecake I have ever had in my entire life is in Maggiano's. The consistency, the taste, the sweat. I mean, it was...
I think recall
perfect.
Being
perfect
very
cheesecake.
good, but I can't really remember. Mine, I really just think it would be the Mikato's orange sauce. That was it.
That's fair.
The whole meal, the fried rice would be good. Because I wish we just haven't mastered. Like, your fried rice is good, but it is not Mikato's level good.
Okay, well, you're also not paying $40 a meal for it. So
I don't listen.
If you want to start paying me $40 a meal, I can make it like that.
First of all, this was not a dig against you. I'm literally just saying these are 2 things that I wish I could get.
Agree. Yeah, but I would have to say old Mikado's.
Yeah, it has changed.
It's still great.
They've
it's still
changed
great,
owners.
but I don't know that it's what it once was.
They've changed something. I don't.
But I would still argue that it's probably still the best of the Japanese that we like.
I don't know what it's. Their yum yum sauce is so different, and I don't know what it is about it.
Is it because it's
replicate it?
We go there a couple times a year?
No, I don't
for
think
birthdays?
Because you know me. You've taken me to the other Japanese places around town. And not
I
one.
don't do that anymore.
I still won't go there. They're disgusting to me. Their food is not good, and the yum yum is horrible.
Yeah, and I've gotten to where when we go to Mikado's, I get sushi, and their sushi's good, but their sushi's not the best. But I go there because we do that on birthdays, and that's what the person picks.
And what is it about their sushi that tears your stomach up?
Some of us we don't get to pick our restaurants for birthdays or even meals.
No, you had an option this year, and you decided you declined for some reason. I don't know why.
No, I don't. I don't think it tears it up any more than any other one. I suppose. I mean, because
that's right. We've already decided you have IBS. And you've just never been diagnosed.
Now that wasabi last night on the poke bowl. Jesus.
That
I thought for a sec. I got it. You know, I think internally I panicked a little bit because there was a couple bites I took that it got so deep up in my soul up in here that I literally I thought I forgot how to breathe for a second. I'm not even bullshitting. I literally panicked for a half second.
You do go a little crazy with the wasabi.
But it's so good, though. It's like horseradish. It just, I love the fire, the burn of it. The taste is amazing, too. But anyhow, that particular one we get is not normally very spicy. So I thought, okay, I squirted half the tube.
Yeah, I think that's the only one I found. I would like to find a different one that's more.
Anyhow, I like the taste of it. I just got to be careful next time.
Yeah, that was crazy. All right, so we decided we were going to continue down this step parenting journey.
Sure. Yeah, why not?
And what we learned.
We may run out of time, I don't know.
Or how we did it or whatever.
Yeah.
And so we kind of just mainly focused on Jackson last time and kind of how that dynamic went with you and Jackson, and then me, you and Jackson, just the whole thing. And so there's so much that we could go over, but I thought we would kind of focus on the Lauren side of it because that brought its own separate dynamic, which was tough. How do you think it impacted Lauren? Do you feel as though us getting married, coming together as one, impacted Lauren?
I don't think us coming together alone impacted Lauren. I think that, what Lauren was told, directly, indirectly, or whatever, basically her entire life probably had much, much more of an impact than, me moving on and being with someone else. I think that she liked you. She adored Jackson. But I don't know that it was me getting remarried or anything like that was really big because she was young. I mean, I think we kind of talked about last time. She was young enough to where she probably really didn't know a whole lot more, a whole lot different. And of course, too, remember, when she was young, her and her mom moved to Atlanta for a short period of time. And then, I was in an apartment at the time, and then I think they moved again, and then we moved into so there was a lot of movement. A lot of movement going on within kind of those first handful of years, and I'm sure that probably, played a big part in it. So I think she, elementary school went to, if you include Atlanta, at least three that I can think of, at least three different elementary schools, which is not normal. I mean, most kids kind of stay where they are. So I think that was probably it more so than just us getting together, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What do you think about that whole dynamic and relationship that made it difficult? Was there something specific within the whole relationship from your side that made step parenting difficult?
Well, I think with Lauren in particular, she has always been, it's been a little bit more difficult to get her to open up and to say what she's thinking, say how she's feeling, express how she's feeling. And that was always a challenge to me because I've always been a very open person and able to express myself and everything else. And so I remember like getting frustrated as she was growing up. It's like, she doesn't hug. She doesn't say, I love you. She doesn't show appreciation. I mean, all the things that you would typically do when you want to show someone you love them and everything else, like it was almost impossible to get her to do those things. And I remember for the longest, I remember for the longest, it would hurt my feelings to no end. And then it's like, I think that once you kind of start thinking to yourself, okay, I don't think that she doesn't love you. I don't think that she doesn't appreciate you to, to a certain extent. I think it was that you have to understand that's the way she is. Mm-hmm. And she's always been the type of person that, like, she's going to do things on her own time.
Oh my God.
Like, riding a bike.
Oh my God! Please tell that story.
Yeah, I can't. But riding a bike, like, you can't.
I'm going to dig through the archives wherever and find. I have a video somewhere.
Die. But she was always the type of person, like, you could not talk her into stuff. You couldn't beat it into her. You couldn't punish her. Like, if she wasn't going to do it, she was not going to do it. And there was nothing you were going to do or say. You couldn't make her feel bad about it. She just did not care. And she was going to do it on her own time. And so I would say, like, the two biggest things that I've had to kind of adjust to with Lauren in particular is the way that she communicates and shows emotion and everything else. And then the fact that she's going to do things on her own time and there's nothing you're going to do about it. You can't, I wanted her to grow up playing sports and she tried it. And if she didn't like it, okay. You weren't going to make her feel bad for not playing. You weren't going to make her feel bad for not wanting to do it. And that's just the way she was. So.
Yeah, I always felt like she probably should have been held. You guys should have held her back a year because I always felt like she always seemed like she was about a year behind what the other kids were doing. And it always seemed like about a year later, okay, well, she's doing that now. Yeah. So I feel like that could have possibly been helpful, but... And
I think that that's from a maturity standpoint, from an emotional standpoint. I agree. And I mean, I remember, and I talked about that long into, Lauren being in high school, was I wish that... Because I remember having that discussion in first grade or kindergarten or whatever it was early on, and I was so reluctant to do it. I think probably for fear more than anything.
Fear of what?
I don't know. Fear of
what people would think?
Maybe, but I think it was more, I didn't want people to think stuff about her. I don't know that it was necessarily I would be embarrassed or anything like that. It was, I don't want people to think that she's not developed yet, or that she's slower, that her maturity is not there, or anything along. I think it was more so that than anything else.
So do you think they thought that anyway?
When you look back at it, yeah, because she probably was in a grade or with kids or whatever that had maybe developed a little bit quicker, and they probably had those same thoughts. But again, I mean, it's always easy to say, well, yeah, okay, I see it now, but that was one of the things that I kind of think back. It's like, I wish I would have done things differently. That is probably one thing that I wish we would have done differently is, held her back early on in kindergarten or first grade, whatever it was. So,
yeah. That relationship for me was very tough and probably has a lot of layers to peel back on it. And I've probably understood more of it, in the last couple of years than I really did at any point in time then. I mean, honestly, looking back, we probably all needed therapy, if I'm being real honest. Like, you and I probably should have been in therapy. The three of us, even though that makes me, I want to be sick to my stomach to even say that, probably should have been in therapy. I don't know that it would have helped at any point in time. Probably not. But you and I probably, if nothing else, should have probably been in therapy together to go over these things, because I don't think we ever were able to really communicate how each of us was feeling in a way that the other would be able and willing to receive.
So I would say that I was torn a lot of years, and torn because, I would hear your perspective, and then I would hear Lauren's perspective. And
you didn't hear Lauren's perspective. You heard perspective.
Well, that part's true. And I think that probably either intentionally or unintentionally caused some, what's the word? Animosity towards you. And because I always wanted you and Lauren to have the relationship that I think you have now. I think since she has moved back in with us, I think that you guys have really started to communicate a lot better, be there for each other, support each other, laugh with each other, all the things that, I wanted to see growing up. And it's like, well, what has really changed? And I think it's fair to say the one thing that has changed is that her mom is no longer has the same level of influence and power.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I also had hoped and wished that I would have had that type of relationship with Lauren, but I just don't know that there was any way that that ever would have been possible.
Yeah.
Knowing what I know now and knowing the way that it is now, that she is no longer able to influence pretty much the relationship between the two of us, or between you and Lauren.
Yeah.
I don't know that I ever had a chance, honestly. There was always going to be her wanting to control our entire life. Not just your relationship with Lauren, but every single thing.
Yeah.
And that's not possible. It's not, and that's where my frustration came from of, I understand you want him to be this certain way, for his daughter, or, you need him to pay for these things for his daughter, but you are not allowed to live my life for me and make all my decisions. I'm a grown-ass adult. I'm working full-time and I am providing for my child. You don't get to make the decisions in my household. And I think that's where the majority of the friction came from
100%.
From my side between us. And it was very hard for me then to separate that frustration of how your ex was, how she treated me, how she treated you, how she treated Jackson, the whole situation.
Things that were said.
The things that were said. Yeah. I've already told you, I might forgive you. I'm never going to forget it. And I will never forget it. And you're never going to come back to me with a sweet smile on your face, trying to act like it's no big deal. You were dead to me. And that's just how I'm built. And
I think that where I struggled with that and was torn so much is because I know that growing up, you had somewhat of a strained relationship with your dad, primarily because your stepmom controlled him, controlled the situation, controlled everyone, yes. Was very, very similar.
Yeah.
To
in my thinking back the way you're saying it right now, absolutely. I was fighting against your ex just like I wish possibly maybe my mom fought against my stepmom to not let her have the control that she did. I don't know.
So I think that's a lot of where my frustration or hurt came in, is like what this is like to not have a great relationship with your stepmom, and you lived it.
Yeah, but the difference is and I understand that you feel this way, but I really tried to not impact. Like, if I didn't want to be around that situation, I said, that's fine. You go, you do it. You go do these things. I am not going to do it. Yeah. I'm not going to be around her. I'm not, which most of the time I did. There was very few times where I was like, it wasn't until Lauren got into high school where I was like, no, I'm not paying somebody to be here so I can go to the softball game for Lauren to ignore us because that's the stage that she was in at that point in time, or have to be around her mother and pretend like everything's fine when it's not fine. Yeah. And when she's saying stuff that are absolutely ridiculous things, and I'm not putting myself in that situation anymore.
So that's where I got torn. Is I could see where you're coming from, and I mean, you were my wife, and you know I respected that. But then at the same time, like as crazy as this sounds, is I would rather go to her softball games and her walk by me and I might get a hey than not go at all. You know what I mean? Or, you know, I would rather, you know, go meet her somewhere, pick her up or do whatever it is. And even if she was in that non-appreciative stage in her life, very much so, I would still, that was still my opportunity to be around her.
It was your opportunity to be around her. And you should have done that. And you did do it.
Yeah.
And I understand you were saying that you feel like, or you wish that I would have also done that, but
looking
I didn't have that experience with my child. So I was not, to me, it was very disrespectful.
Yeah.
And I was not going, it was really less Lauren and more just, I'm not putting myself in the same situation with this person that I really hate. I hate to say that I hate somebody, but if there's one person that I honestly cannot stand, it is that person.
Yeah.
And it never had to be that way. It never had to be such a struggle all the time. Everything. There was nothing in life that was ever easy. It was just exhausting. And to me, it made me bend over even more backwards, I think, to make things easy for Dennis, because I'm like, heck, I'm not going to be doing this. This is crazy.
Yeah. And I think that's, and when I think back, it's okay, like, was it really that bad? And the answer is, yes, it really was that bad.
And I think so. To me, it all comes back down to, it was a control issue, and she wanted to control you primarily. She wanted all of that control, and she got it. Unfortunately, she really got it. In the end, she controlled everything when it came to you from that standpoint, because abusive, I mean, honestly, like it was a toxic text relationship, a toxic phone call relationship between you two, and you never would cut it off. You would never say, I'm never going to speak to you again. And so it was one day, you're a piece of shit, you are a horrible father, you don't pay child support, even though never missed a child support payment. Thank you very much. And they were probably more than anybody else on this podcast listening out there has ever paid.
Money, but it was never enough.
It was never enough. And so because it was never enough money, it was always, you're a piece of shit, you don't do anything for Lauren.
Everything's more important.
Everything is more important than
Jackson
her.
You treat Jackson and Andy better, blah, blah, blah.
And it was, what you went through was absolutely toxic. But then the very next day, it would talking to you like your best friends.
Yeah, and that used to frustrate you because you thought that I would buy into that. But what I think that you failed to understand is that was my only bridge to Lauren, because without that.
And it wasn't. Looking back, it wasn't.
She
and
wasn't.
We should have called her bluff.
She wasn't encouraging Lauren.
We should have called her bluff.
She wasn't encouraging Lauren to be with me.
No.
She wasn't encouraging Lauren to show appreciation. She wasn't encouraging Lauren to...
Right, which is why you went for 9 months and not talking to Lauren because of that. Yeah. But yeah.
So anyhow, I just... When I talk about how thankful I am that Lauren is back in our lives, it's that she's back, but... she's back in a way that I have never seen her before.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I joke about her being a one-way conversation, but it went from just years of you'd be around her and you might get 2 words out of her to now you literally nonstop talking, which we kid and we joke about it, but man, I love that. And she's laughing and she's cutting up and she's trying to make jokes, and you know, she's not pushing me away when I give her a hug. And I mean, all the things that like you want to have that relationship with your daughter or your child for that matter. And so it kind of gets back to, well, what's really changed? And I think a big part of it is, you know, I blocked her mom when Lauren came back.
No.
Okay, so not too long.
I think I probably finally blew up.
But it's been a while.
My foot down.
But it's been a while.
It's been, yeah.
And I will tell you that is one of the best things I have ever done for my sanity, for my relationship with Lauren, my relationship with Annie, and honestly, Lauren, they went, I guess, weeks, months, whatever, without really talking, and they talk a little bit now, but it doesn't have any control over me anymore, and that's probably carried over into the relationship with Lauren. She probably realizes Lauren's not going to put up with her talking bad about me or saying stuff that's not true, or, you know, just running her mouth about whatever. Because I think that Lauren at this point would either push it away, say something, or just shut down and say, I'm not going to do this.
I think she would shut down. She's not going to say anything back unless she's really, really provoked.
Yeah.
Because I think there's still a dynamic between the two of them that is, I mean, kind of bullying, toxic relationship.
Absolutely. Definitely bullying, definitely some toxicity.
I can't imagine speaking to my child the way that Lauren has told us that of things, and it is, or I've seen in text messages, like it doesn't make sense to me. It blows my mind. And it's sad. It's so sad to me because I feel like Lauren could have been this person, this version of herself that she is now, all along had she been given the ability to do so or encouraged to do so. And I don't feel like, knowing what I know now, I don't feel like she ever was. I feel like she was told that she's just like you. I feel like she was told that she wasn't good enough. I feel like she was told, you got to look a certain way. You've got to do things a certain way. You got to make sure that you're keeping up with the Joneses. And if not, you're not good enough.
Yeah.
And I think it really did a number on her
psyche.
Her psyche. Yeah. And we are working very hard to unpack and unravel that and build her back up.
Yeah. And I think, financially, from a stability standpoint, from a, you don't ever have to really worry about anything standpoint.
She is doing great.
I think that she, between her mom and her stepdad, I think that they have provided for her very financially. Well. But I'm so incredibly
Listen, Bubba,
thankful that she's
don't
here.
Act like we didn't that you didn't. You don't even have to include me.
No, I'm not saying that. But I guess I don't. Yeah, because
provided for her very well.
Because there's some kids that go through situations they don't have anything. They have the parents are in a bad relationship. They, financially they're not. There's it can always be worse, I guess is what I'm getting at. But I just, to me, it's one of those, like, you don't really, maybe I didn't fully appreciate, even though I feel like I did, like the relationship I have with Lauren now, I think is 1,000 times stronger because of
it is. And honestly, like I don't feel like I understood, and I don't think you did either, that maybe Lauren was going through some of the things that she probably was going through.
I agree with that, because she didn't talk about it. You literally could not get her to talk about anything. And I think too that had I realized that, and she was more vocal about it or things opened up to me. Yeah, I think that things would have been, because we would have been able to talk about it, and I would have done some things and said some things differently.
Instead, she did not talk about it at all, and instead, you heard it through her mom of, this is how she feels. Well, it's not really how she feels, but anyway, it was very difficult. It was always money this, money that. You're never doing enough money wise. And I had animosity from the standpoint of, okay, like, this is what your child support is, cool. And this is what we put away for college, cool. And we pay for healthcare, cool. And we pay all the co-pays, cool. And we pay half of braces, cool. Like, but none of that was ever enough. So there always needed to be more. And from my standpoint, it was very hard when I'm also working full time. And so I felt like I then didn't do things for my child so that we could keep doing more and more and more and more and more, because you were made to feel badly and feel like a piece of shit because you supposedly weren't doing enough for Lauren. So I felt like I was constantly fighting this battle of, yeah, but wait. What about, like, we have to also live. Like, it can't all be giving to her. Like, that's not feasible.
I think that the animosity was so bad at times that it turned into little things being a big deal.
Yes,
so for example, like going to lunch. Like, it would turn into, well, me and Jackson aren't going to lunch once a week. So it's so now when I look back on those things, as much as I completely,
I regret that. I do regret that.
And regret would be the word that I would use for me too. Although I fully understand why you felt that way and were made to feel that way. So there was so much just animosity and hate and everything that I think that. And I don't know that one person is completely blank, because I don't want to make it seem like, I never did anything wrong. I never said anything wrong. I mean, I feel like there's probably always stuff that I could have done differently, but there was never, I don't want to be with Lauren. There was never, I don't want to spend time with her. I don't want to have my weekends with her. I don't want to take her off. But there was never any of that. Where it got into be a challenge is, when Lauren got older, let's just say into her teen years, her mom gave her the choice whether or not she wanted to come over every other weekend, which, okay, whatever. Well, what would happen is I would go days, like let's say the entire week, and I wouldn't hear anything from Lauren. And I'd try to reach out to her mom. I wouldn't hear anything. And then so Annie and I would make plans for like a Friday night. And then I would get a call like Friday afternoon, say, hey, I'm coming to your house. And I'm like, well, like, Lauren, like we've already made, like I hadn't heard from you all week. I mean, we've already made plans. We're doing that. And then that would turn into, well,
and not just not heard from her, like you've messaged and you've not received any response.
And it was so the fact that like I would not get any response at all, and then all of a sudden, if I didn't just completely drop everything, regardless of what the plan could have been for us to go out of town for the weekend. I mean, it didn't matter what it was. It was always, well, that means that, you know, Annie's more important. That means that Jackson's more important. It's just like, no, it
was a condition unlike any other. So, like it was really bad.
So anyhow, I cannot be happier. I mean, this girl's asking me to go vote with her. She's talking about school. She's wanting to. I mean, and Annie.
I was mad at her today. I'm not really. So she irritated me the last 2 days because I've had to turn around and take up for her mother, who I cannot stand, because. I did technically agree,
but I think that there are going to be some things that you're going to have to get unconditioned about. So, for example, Lauren and my thing has always been we go to lunch together. It's always been our thing. Probably always will be our thing. And Annie made a joke like, "Oh, she played you today," which okay, she did. But
no, you said that, and I said sucker.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever.
I didn't say that to you.
So sucker. So which is true. I am a sucker, but. The point is, like, for so many years, that would be a situation where you would shut down or get angry or whatever, and I can see it. You were starting to uncondition yourself from that, which I appreciate, but those are just things that over time I think are just going to become better and better and better and better, and you know. Because let's face it, like you were like, well, I just wouldn't say anything. I would just be like, y'all go do your thing. Okay. Well, let me just tell you, when you shut down and you said, let y'all just go do your thing, it affected everyone in the house every single time, the entire time. So that was not a good solution either. And I know that you know that now. And I think that you probably have regrets about that because you have, and I've said this before, you have always been very, very mindful of not saying stuff that you're going to regret or not saying things that are going to hurt people. So the alternative may have been to say things I'm going to regret or say things that are going to hurt people. And I'm glad that you didn't. But what you did do wasn't conducive for the family either.
It wasn't conducive for you because you felt it. Jackson felt it. I honestly still believe Lauren felt it.
And I think you're right. And I don't know if that was just she was conditioned so much or she just wasn't. I think
it's just the way
her
that she is.
Her emotional maturity was not there yet.
I think it's something about her that just the way that she is. I don't think she really, I don't think she reads it. I just don't think she feels it, reads it the way other people do.
And we kind of joke about it now, but we even say to her now, like, Lauren, read the room. You know what I mean? And like when she'll come home and she'll say, hey, I had this customer who did blah, 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 or said blah, blah, blah. And our first, okay, well, how did you respond to that? Or what did you say to it? Or, you know, and she'll normally say something and I'll say, okay, well, what did you pick up in their body language or what was their facial? And that's the part that I think she's.
It's always just they're mad.
Which honestly, I feel like, you know, I mean, her being in this server job, I think is helpful with that because I think it puts her in situations that she may have not otherwise been in.
Correct. And I think she's doing a jam-up job. You cannot convince me otherwise.
And you can't convince me there's somebody who is more committed to her job.
Absolutely. I mean, she might not be, I don't know if she is the top, like as in the best, but you're not going to find another worker that is a harder worker.
On time, every time,
on them.
Working,
exactly,
doing the extra, all
and
that
wants
stuff.
to do it. Like she is a rule follower as far as she just like you. She likes
and her human design,
A, B, C, D.
Her human design
and
is
she's gonna follow it.
Create lists that are going to improve the process, and we're already starting to see a lot of that too. Because she'll come home and be like, "Well, if it was me in charge, I'd do blah 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 blah." And we're like, or she'd be like, "I said blah blah blah," and I'm like, did you really say that? And she's like, no, but I said it in my head. So I'm not even playing. Like when I tell you she is a completely different person now than she was for the first 18 years of her life. I mean, I could not be happier with the trajectory that she's on right now.
I mean, she's different from when she first moved in. Like, I was worried. I'll be honest. Like, when that phone call came and, she showed up at the doorstep, I was...
You immediately went into worst case scenario.
Well, I don't think I went into worst case scenario, but I did.
You did.
I was nervous.
Your thought was, okay, she's going to come home. She's going to get you all excited because, you're going to fall in love with it again, and then she's going to...
I was worried about that. Yes. Yeah. As your wife, that I love you, that I was concerned about that because that would have been devastating for you. And so I'm very thankful that it went...
So what do you think? What do you think are some? And maybe this applies to both kids, but I thought about it today when I was at lunch with Lauren. We were talking to the server, and she repeated herself.
The server or Lauren?
Lauren.
Okay.
And so when she left, I said, Lauren, you realize you said the same exact thing twice. And then I thought to myself, every time I get off a phone call, Annie says, you realize you said the same exact thing twice.
You do it all the time. It drives me crazy.
So what do you think? So anyways, that is one thing I think that she is like me on, in addition to some other stuff. But what do you think like the kids will take from us, Jackson or Lauren, for example?
No idea.
I think
you clearly have thought about this question. No, I have no idea.
I haven't really thought per se, but I think...
here's what I think. I think Jackson's actually going to do more opposite things than you did with him. I think there's probably some things that he's like, I will never freaking do that because that's what Ken did to me, kind of thing.
I think about little things like when he and Ashley first moved in together.
You're talking about the lights?
The lights, the not emptying the lint from the dryer was funny to me.
Because he had said that about Ashley.
Yeah, and then he said that she tried to push the trash can down so far that she broke the thing, and I was like, I'm just dying at each one of these because I'm like, bro, like that is literally
that's karma. You're thinking that's karma.
Yeah, so little stuff like that that's what when I say that I'm talking on a much, much lighter scale. I think you're kind of maybe trying to take it way too deep. But,
okay.
That's not what I'm thinking
about. I don't know because he's definitely, he doesn't care. He will pay whatever that power bill is because he's going to keep that air down on like 67 or something like that. And you would never do that.
Lauren is very much a morning person, just like I am. Like you can guarantee that alarm, no alarm, summertime, wintertime, she's going to come down them steps. She's going to come into the see the dogs. She's going to nap now. She's going to go back. Yes. She's going to go back up and take a nap.
She's going to go back up and take a nap.
She has no concept of personal space at all, which I don't really have a personal space either. But I think she went and stayed with Ashley and Jackson while we were out of town. And Ashley and Lauren were talking in the living room. And Ashley was like, I got to go to the bathroom or something like that. So Lauren proceeds to go into the bedroom and is laying on the bed talking to Ashley the whole time. Ashley didn't even realize it. And she comes back out and Lauren's just steady talking. And she's like, have you been on the bed talking the entire time? And Lauren's like, yeah, like what's the big deal? We'll go to our bedroom unless we shut the door and lock it. Like, she's gonna come in the bedroom.
I will go to the bathroom. I will go in the toilet, shut the door, and she will steadily be talking. And I'm I cannot hear you.
It's a trip. So anyhow,
yeah. I do have a bone to pick with you.
Okay.
Because like I said, exactly what was going to happen has happened. It doesn't matter whether it's boy or girl. I think maybe it's the second kid, maybe it's boy versus girl, but the things that bothered you about Jackson or that Jackson did or didn't do to suit you, Lauren does the exact same thing and you don't see it.
So how
is that possible?
So I'm glad that you brought this up.
Case in point.
Cups on the table?
Dishes. How about let's do dishes without being asked? Let's take up all of your laundry without being asked and not sit there for weeks on end.
All of these are very fair.
And lights. Let's turn lights off. Hey, you know what? You're downstairs talking to us. Why is that light on upstairs?
All of these are very fair. And I have a response to this.
Please, it better be good.
First of all, Annie, for our entire relationship, still to this day, thinks that it was always the difference between a boy and a girl. I don't fully believe that, although I think there probably was some level of that. I think if Lauren lived here with us full time, like Jackson lived here with us full time, you would have seen much less of that. But I think growing up, I only have a limited amount of time with Lauren, and I don't want it to be exerting energy in a negative way that I have more time with Jackson. Okay. That's number one. So I think it was less about boy and girl and more about one lives with us full time, the other doesn't.
You see where that is difficult for anybody, especially a kid, to understand that.
Agree 100%. Here's what's more important, and here's what's more impactful to that. Looking back, I understand now that I wasted way too much negative energy. When I say negative energy, I created way too much negative energy for Jackson than it should have been. Like the things that used to frustrate me, I should not have gotten frustrated. And a lot of it was, I don't know, envy because he's here all the time and y'all have a great relationship. Jealousy because he's here all the time and y'all have a great relationship, and you and Dennis aren't fighting and, saying stuff. And even though, Dennis was, we're going to take care of Jackson no matter what. Like it's fine. I think that, like, when I look back and I think to myself, that was so much wasted time and so much wasted energy on things that just did not matter. And I don't know that it really hit me. I don't think I fully understood it until I went that time without having Lauren in my life and realizing that shit does not matter. The little stuff does not matter. And I wish there was a way that maybe I just need to tell him that I'm sorry.
I think that would be,
because it didn't matter,
a really nice thing to do.
So, I learned that way too late. I wish, again, hindsight's always 20/20. I wish that I would have realized that earlier. Not just for mine and your sake, but for mine and Jackson's sake and his sake. And, because I was never the one that, like, made people feel like they weren't enough, or I was never the one to not say, I'm proud of you and all that stuff. But in my own way, me being so uptight about things that just do not matter probably made him feel like he couldn't do stuff right. You know what I mean? Or it was like always, something. And it was just, man, it would. So anyhow, I say all that to say that you've always said it was a boy and a girl thing. And I always fought you on that. And I will always fight you on that. Now, taking out the trash, it is a boy thing. Doing certain things, cutting the grass, that is a boy. There are just certain things that I think a boy should do and a girl shouldn't have to do. I hope that when, Lauren is out of here and with somebody, I hope that she doesn't have to worry about taking the trash out. I hope she doesn't have to worry about cutting the grass. I hope she doesn't have to worry about... I
just took the trash out today, by the way.
Okay, but, I mean, how often does that happen, though?
Whenever I see it needs done. Anyway.
So,
I love you.
So anyhow, Ashley, you need to make Jackson listen to this episode. So I'm sorry for so many things that I did to you growing up, or in our relationship, and to Lauren when she was growing up, and Jackson when he was growing up. Like, I have
a lot of regrets, and I apologize for making things difficult for you, more difficult than they needed to be for you. And it doesn't have to be that way. And I hope that most other people don't have to go through these situations and can have better communication, because I feel like we had the communication, the ability to talk the way that we can talk now, then, you know, we maybe could have worked through some of these things better. But also I think I'm a different person now. I've, you know, found things that I enjoy and love and look to that help balance me out. And I think, you know, that's probably an important part of it. And I wish I had found those things sooner.
Yeah. So, to you and to Jackson and to Lauren, I love you guys. I'm sorry for anything I've ever done or said that was wrong or whatever. But I'm incredibly proud of all you guys. I love our family. Even though Jackson's not here, you know, I'm incredibly proud of what he's doing. And, yeah, so I'm incredibly proud of what Lauren's doing and what I think that she's going to be doing in the near future.
I think she's going to do really, really well.
It's these damn dogs, I'm telling you, since these dogs have come into our life. And even Odie
truly,
and Nellie,
life is just hard, guys. Life is hard, but hopefully if you are in a step parenting type situation, then you're doing it better than we did it. I don't think we sucked horribly, like completely like a 0, but you know, I think we definitely could have done better.
It is hard. It is hard, but it is important to talk about these because listen, at the end of the day, the divorce rate in America is 50%.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's a very high likelihood that you are going through something like this, or you have. And I guess the thing that I want to say in conclusion is like how your relationship has been with either your ex or with your kids or your stepkids or your current, you know, partner, regardless of how it has been, it doesn't have to be that way. And you can do things differently. You can't change the past, but I would say that the person that I am now, having gone through what I went through, is completely different than the person that I was before. And I wasn't a bad stepdad. I want you guys, you know, but it was, there were certain things that I wish I would have done differently, said differently, acted differently. And the point is, you have the opportunity to do that. And believe it or not, kids are so resilient, whether or not they're 2 years old or 18 or 20, you know, it doesn't matter. They're very resilient, and you have the opportunity to still, you know, establish those relationships and rekindle those relationships and grow those relationships.
I would agree. They are very resilient. And I think understanding and admitting that, you know, you've made mistakes and that, you know, you are regretful for those goes a long, long way.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was.
I expected a little bit of that to come out, but I didn't expect all that to come out.
I didn't really expect it to completely go everywhere it went, and we went very long again. So we're gonna have to start cutting this down to like 45 minutes.
No, we'll come back with some light stuff next week. So
hopefully, okay. Well, love you guys so much.
Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Share, like, comment. Watch us on YouTube and listen to us on Spotify or whatever your podcast platform is.
Yep.
All right. Love
Bye.
you guys.
Thank y'all so much for listening for this episode. We really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this episode, you're enjoying the podcast, please give us a rate and review. We really would love that, and it would help push the podcast out to others like yourself that might like to listen. And don't forget to check us out on Instagram at Life's Little Arguments or on YouTube at Life's Little Arguments. We love you guys so much. Thank you.